Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
Joan from Feasterville called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and has battled swarms of flying ants each year. We'll explain what to do if this happens to you in our first segment.
After listening to last week's show, Joanne texted us on the hotline. She had a question on one of the last week's topics. We'll fill you in during our second segment.
Carolyn, a listener and a customer. Thank you,
Yes.
Carolyn. We appreciate that very much. She called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline and has weeds growing under her tulips. Too many to pull. She's in a tough spot. We'll explain what she can do in our third segment.
A listener from last week's show asked us to repeat the products we recommended to control ants. We'll revisit the topic and tell you what to use in our third segment.
What's bugging you? Moles and voles are bugging me. Tunnels through the lawns and garden. We'll discuss how to get rid of them in our last segment.
So stay tuned, and we'll be back right in the garden right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Fertilum's azalea and evergreen food plus systemic insecticide 915-3 contains 5 micronutrients which are designed for azaleas and evergreens to provide the proper nutrients and producing stunning green leaves and essential new growth while protecting the plant from damaging insects for up to 8 weeks. Fertilum's azalea and evergreen food contains 9% nitrogen for green growth, building bigger stems and leaves, 15% phosphorus for root growth and increased flower production, 13% potash to promote vigorous growth so plants are better able to resist disease and cold. The micronutrients are the icing on the cake to enhance further growth, strengthen, and beautify color. Tired of seeing your plants prematurely drop their leaves, the flowers disappear? Fertilum's Azalea Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-13 contains an easy-to-apply insecticide that keeps your azaleas and evergreens looking great all year long. Those hungry insects do not have a chance. Apply in spring before bud sprout and continue throughout the season as indicated on the label growing guide. Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic Insecticide 915-13 with micronutrients is a must for the passionate azalea and evergreen grower to help produce that beautiful abundance of color and fantastic fragrance everyone will love. So next time you visit your favorite garden center, pick up Fertilum's Azalea and Evergreen Food plus Systemic and expect to have the best looking shrubs in the neighborhood. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Julio, we got a call from Joan.
Oh, yes.
And did you talk to Joan, by the way?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Excellent. From Feasterville. She has a problem that I've had. You ever had a bloom? They call it a bloom, of flying ants, where all of a sudden they're coating the wall?
I've had a bloom of termites in my home.
Yeah. See, there you go. Same type of thing, and that we're going to discuss the difference. But to tell you what, listen to her call.
Hi, my name's Joan from Feasterville, and you resolved a problem for me in the past, and I hope you can give me some good advice this time around. For the past, I'd say, 2 or 3 years, I'm inundated with flying ants. As soon as the hot sun comes out, I was getting them in my back, on the back door, all over, 100 million of them. Looked like someone threw dirt on my door. I went to the exterminator. He recommended some kind of ant poison, and I searched all around the lawn for these little mounds, their houses, and I stuck the medicine in there, and it went away. Well, they don't make that medicine anymore. And now, last year, they were on my front door. And like I say, there's millions of them. And it's just horrible. And I don't know what to do. Hopefully you can recommend something.
Well,
Wow.
yes, we can. I've had it. I've had that issue.
Had
We had it at Bloomers, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, inside, it was actually our common wall to the restroom at Bloomers. It's a wooden structure that's a common wall to the greenhouse.
Right.
So greenhouse, moist environment, it's a little warmer. And that we had a bloom inside the bathroom, and we're, again, covered the windows. It looked like, you could barely see out of it. And it was like it's an invasion of whatever. It was like a horror movie. And it happens. It happens. And what is going on? Like, okay, so let's think like the animal.
The animals.
Termites, ants, bees, they all need to start new colonies. And what happens is that when you see these blooms, they're trying to start a new colony. The most important thing is to know, both ants and termites will do damage. Let's make that clear. But termites are a little more ferocious.
Yeah.
So making sure that if you have flying ants or you have termites, and the best way is that a flying ant looks just like that, a flying ant.
Yeah.
It has a segmented body where it has the antenna, it has all of those things. And its wings are a little more translucent where they're not opaque like a termite would be.
Right, yeah.
The other interesting thing is that you may not even know you have them and all of a sudden find a pile of wings that are on the ground somewhere.
I had them all over my home.
Yeah? Did you?
Yeah, they dropped their wings when they were inside.
And that's when they find a home. So
they started to mate.
Do you need to spray or
I got the Ehrlich man.
Ehrlich man. All right. So you got it just like she did.
Yeah.
And that you can treat it on your own if it's termites. Okay.
Right.
Termites are not going to have that segmented body. They're also going to have wings that are not clear or translucent. So
yeah, I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was first. Whether it was a termite or I had to look at it real close to make sure what I had.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's an intervention. Julio, the first sign is to admitting you have the problem.
Yeah, I know.
But we all have to look up information.
That's
we all have to study. It's like,
Research.
only Aaron knows everything.
That's right.
All right. So in any case, again, she decided they're flying ants and that she had them outside, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, outside, yeah.
So Joan treated outside.
Outside, yeah.
And that's the thing where if you treat outside, okay, you've got maybe it's feeding off of roots, maybe it's going to be feeding off of wood, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah,
or, we always use the word organic matter because it covers rotting wood.
Everything. Yeah.
But again, if it's on the inside, then you've got issues. You need to make sure, go down into your crawl space.
Oh, yes.
I'm afraid to go into my crawl space.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen too many horror movies. I know what happens in there.
What happened?
I don't come out.
Right?
There's like, some little Chucky doll waiting for me.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
in any case, you need to check the foundations. You need to check to see if it's in your wood. Do you, poke your finger around, see if you have soft wood, and it's usually at the foundation level. It's not going to be like in the middle of your wall, but it could be. It could be on your windowsills. It could be an area where moisture.
That's the
key. You need to check.
Yeah.
An exterminator would not be out of the question. But again, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah,
we have some suggestions to use. And again, is it a flying ant? Flying ants you can handle. Termites is when I'd say go. You need to call it an exterminator. I was looking at one site in one of the, and I always go to .edu sites. So going to the universities that are doing entomology and things like that. Rutgers is the best. I mean, Penn State is awesome. One of them said, "It's you just get out a vacuum and you suck them up." Hey,
great idea.
I mean, it's like,
who would have thought of that?
Well, I guess if you first see them, you have maybe a shot, but you still have to go down and try to find the hive.
The source,
We're going to talk about regular ants in a little bit. Yeah. But again, the swarms are trying to find to build a new hive, a new queen.
Yeah.
So
starting a new family.
Right? Right. Oh my gosh, a new family. Could you imagine being the queen and having all those kids?
Oh, I know.
Can I move back in for a little while? My car broke down.
Oh,
anyway, so... but the queen has got her job, and she's got her own problems. But in any case, you can control them with different types of insecticide. There are insecticides that are listed for termites and flying ants. Like we have some here. If you're looking on YouTube, please go and subscribe to us on YouTube. There are dusts, and most of these are thrins, okay? Those of you that are regular listeners, a thrin is a like delta methrin, like a lot of the different insecticides that you find. Well, the last part of it will have thrin, and it goes permethrin, pyrethrin. Like it's basically the organic form or the non-organic form of a pyrethrin. I think I have that right. Yep. And what happened is man took the chemistry and we created versions that will not break down in sunlight, that will have a longer residual. Because the organic version, you put it in the sun, it's gone. It's got to hit it. It's got to hit it as a contact, and then that's it.
That's it.
So that organic version works great. And don't let anybody fool you. It may be organic, and this goes with a lot of organics. And like we were talking about being agnostic organic person, organic stuff kills. I mean, some of the most poisonous, toxic insecticides too, especially like our pollinators and such, are organics. So again, you're going to want to use something that delta methrin is probably what I would look for. If something says carpenter bees, it also will translate into. It usually is carpenter bee, ant, and termite killer. It's usually got three things. Like you can use it for different things. And the whole point of the little duster, it has a little nozzle. It looks like a squirt thing that you'd use. Almost looks like an old style ketchup bottle.
Yeah, I know.
And what you do is you put a puff of that in the area where you see the holes or the damage done. And that it goes and it will work itself back and it will kill anything that it can reach or that comes out of it. The sprays will do something very similar. Now I'll share with you what I did. I don't necessarily advise this.
Is this a Len Schroeder?
This is like, it would be on, it would make a good scene for a comedy show. Yeah.
I figured.
So I mixed up a big thing in a bucket and I poured it in the windowsill. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
I've never had a problem again.
Oh, wow.
But it also was in our greenhouse. It wasn't like it was in, a carpeted living room or it was anywhere else. So, and it did work. It did work. And I'm not going into crawl space of the store either. No. And actually, in that area of the store, we're on a concrete slab. So So thank God I do not have to go and go down there. So again, you can spray, okay? You can spray, and that's will help. But again, you don't know how bad it is until you get into the basement, into the areas where there is ground contact with your foundation. And you have to look, and that I don't want it to fool anybody that small incidents you can take care of, but you don't know how big it is unless you get a professional in there and
check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah. And
they took
do you remember how much you remember how much everything cost? Do you remember?
Too much.
No, that's the price of everything, Julio. That you tell me, but
well,
do you remember
after
what it was?
looking at our products,
It's a couple grand though, right?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So but the thing is that good luck getting a CO if you've got termites.
Yeah,
you aren't going to get it. So you've got to take care of that. Baits are an option. The termite bonite has, again, it's a termite, and like how we were saying, carpenter ants and things like that. Termite and carpenter ant killer. Carpenter ants are those big ants, those big scary ants that crunch when you step on them, right?
Right.
Okay, that those are sprays that definitely will work.
Oh yeah.
But keep in mind, the swarm that Joan was talking about is a bloom, and they're going to find a new spot. So they're not like, they came from somewhere.
Right.
They came from somewhere. So if it's inside your house, you've got a problem. If it's outside, like Joan seems to have, you can treat those and spot treat those areas. And Joan, you said you couldn't find the product. Here's what I want you to look for. You go to your local garden center and ask for bonide, termite, carpenter, and ant killer. Okay? Bonide is the manufacturer, and the actual product name is termite and carpenter ant killer. And again, that's going to be in the family of the thrins, and that it is safe as a non-organic insecticide can be, and that you need to just follow the instructions, and that will quell any of those invaders. You'll notice that if they went onto, like, a lot of times they'll go onto like a patio window on the outside because it's warm.
Oh yeah.
And because they're basically just warming up. But generally they don't get very far. They grew these wings, flew out, then those wings are going to fall off.
Yeah.
So once they get to their new spot. So I think we killed it.
I think we killed them all.
That's it. There we go. If you have any questions about termites, carpenter ants, or any of those things, please call the hotline, 609-685-1880. All right, we'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Are you looking forward to a spring of vibrancy while using the best organically approved growing media for your annuals and vegetables? Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter has been created to set a diverse culture, ideal for germinating seeds and root cuttings. Created using the best ancient composting techniques and new age mixing devices, Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter gently combines kelp meal, worm castings, mycorrhizae, perlite, and sustainably harvested peat moss, establishing the most desirable setting to enhance new plant growth. Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter is available at these local retailers, or visit www.coastofmaine.com to locate one near you. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Tony's Farm and Garden, Windsor, New Jersey.
Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomer's Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Our friend Joan texted us on the hotline. She had a question on one of last week's show on our topics here, and here's her text.
Hi, Bloomers in the Garden. I just heard you say Epsom salts is good for roses. Would it be beneficial for all plants? Thank you, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Nice,
Julio.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, well, good question. Very good question, because you always hear it talked about for roses.
Right.
Epsom salts has magnesium and a little sulfur, and it occurs naturally in the soil, but it's depleted under certain conditions. Like, for instance, if you have the same garden in the same spot, it's going to basically dissipate, and then you need to add the magnesium. And well, I just have to shout out to Jonathan Green, and that's Magical, right? Magnesium in Magical. But using Epsom salts is fine.
Yeah.
You can't overuse it. It is a persistent element that plants absorb and use. And we've got some great suggestions here. House plants.
Yeah.
You can use it as like a water soluble fertilizer and put 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water and just feed your houseplants with it every month. It'll help green up the leaves. It'll help them sustain. They'll be a better plant. It's like nitrogen makes things grow really big. So it'll keep it more bushy, but also do the job of keeping like nitrogen, keeping it green. Roses, we talked about roses last week, but we'll mention it again. 1 tablespoon of Epsom salts per foot of plant height every 2 weeks. You can also just put a cup into the soil at the base, and that will work. To me, I'm doing that one. Yeah, just give me a cup. I'm not watering the thing. I've got things to do. I'm a mover and shaker. Yeah, you've seen me walk. I shake when I move.
A lot, too.
Yeah. Oh, you keep it up, skinny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's all muscle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell.
And again, nobody plants that I know of any types of bare root. It also you can soak the roots of bare root plants, but nobody does that anymore. And again, you can mix it to create it as a water soluble fertilizer or use it as a granule. I like the granule just because it's easy. Right. 1 tablespoon per 9 square foot. and apply it over the roots of your evergreens and azaleas and rhododendrons. Your azaleas will love that.
Oh, yeah.
They'll love that. And you've got to do it often, though, because, again, it dissipates into the soil. So you're going to be doing that every 2 to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you can do it every month, you're doing it. Okay.
Good,
I know
man.
that a lot of times gardening is like, they want me to test the soil. They want me to do this. They want me to do that. Now I've got to pull the leaves off. But if you can get there and treat it with Epsom salts once a month, it'll be getting the benefit. You can even put it on your lawn. I don't know how you're going to apply 3 pounds to 1,250 square feet. You're going to have to take each granule and separate it by about an inch. But like we said in the beginning, you can't really over apply. So go just throw it around. Don't put it in any one spot because it can burn, and like salts are in it. Fertilizer, salts do burn plants, but you need to just make sure that you get a good spread on your lawn. I don't know. To me, it's like, it's overkill. On trees, again, that goes right back to the same thing that you're doing in your landscape. So while you're doing it in your landscape and you're doing a tablespoon every 9 square feet, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to do 2 tablespoons on trees. So you can just put it around the root zone. And all right, Julio, this is another impromptu, unscripted question.
Yes.
What is the drip line of a tree?
The drip line of a tree is where the branches are drooping over, right? And
Droop?
well, if you have a cherry, a weeping cherry, right?
Come on, Will.
The drip.
Call me fat.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. If you want to look on YouTube, you'll notice that I am strikingly handsome.
He is very much. You can
Please
ask-
subscribe.
That's right. You ask
Ring the
Danielle.
bell.
Ding ding.
Danielle, do you hear what he's saying about me?
Oh, really? She
Go
knows.
ahead. What's the
Anyway.
drip line?
It's the branches that are the furthest away from the tree. That's going to be the drip line.
Okay. So if you picture this, close your eyes, not if you're driving, cover your tree with a tarp, and where the edges of that tarp hang down, that's the drip line. And that's where the roots of your tree are. And that's where you would apply the Epsom salts. So around the drip line, because that's not at the base, not at the trunk, because there's not a whole lot going on there. They've already grown past that. So along where that drip line is, that's where you want to put it. And that's 2 tablespoons of Epsom salts per 9 square feet.
Not bad.
So, couldn't we make this 20 tablespoons per 100 square feet? We could have done that too. Anyway, if you're starting up a garden this year, and even if you have a garden
Right.
and you're going to work the soil, sprinkle a cup per 100 square feet, and then just mix it into the soil before you plant. I'd suggest doing fertilizer then. We're going to go have a garden show coming up real soon where we're going to talk about preparing your soil for your vegetable plants and your garden plants. And again, I like mixing fertilizer in the soil, turning it over, working that, and then after everything's planted, you put another application of fertilizer on. Just saying. So look for that show coming up on Bloomers in the Garden.
There you go.
Anything to add about Epsom salts, Julio?
No, I should get some.
You should.
Yeah.
You should. And like we said, get a 20-pound bag, you put it on all your plants, you got a little left over, put it in the tub with some hot water and soak. Because you're probably going to be sore from working in the garden. Who needs a gym membership? That's right. All right. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Do you think you have insects eating away your nice, beautiful lawn? Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus, Above and Below, is the product for you. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below not only controls chinch bugs, which is a surface feeding insect, but also controls grubs, which is a subsurface feeding insect. It does it all, guaranteed. When most homeowners see their lawn turning brown in the summer, they think grubs, damage from the larva of Japanese beetle. But in many cases, it could be chinch bugs. Chinch bugs are hard to see because they are so small and you'd need to get down on your hands and knees to see them. If you misdiagnose your problem, Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below has you covered. The product will control both chinch bugs and grubs. This summer, control your pest problems with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. It also may be used in flower beds, on landscape ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below will also control crane fly larvae, ants, mole crickets, sod webworms, bill bugs, and many more. Your property will be pest-free with Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below. So next time you're visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilum's Bug Blaster Plus Above and Below and expect to have the best-looking lawn and landscape in the neighborhood. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds. We carry a flock of feeders like the Brome Squirrel-Proof Feeder, which has a lifetime guarantee. Brome makes fantastic feeders for frustrating squirrels and feeding songbirds. Bloomer's Bird Sanctuary has a vast selection of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. We carry Lyric, Coles, C&S, Pine Tree Farms, and our own line called Bloomer's Blend. Bloomer's Blend Songbird Magnet contains premium black oil sunflower, peanut splits, millet, safflower, and tree nuts. It's sure to attract the most colorful songbirds to your yard. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County, New Jersey. Visit us online at www.bloomers.com. When you come in, ask for Shirley Spurbeck, Bloomer's Wild Bird Specialist. Mention you heard it on Bloomers in the Garden Radio, and we'll give you $10 off a 20-pound bag of Bloomer's Blend Songbird Magnet Mix. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len. He's Julio. Aaron's on the YouTube machine.
Yes, he is.
Okay, and we've got TJ in the booth.
Oh.
All right. The gang's all here. Carolyn's got a problem.
Yes, she did.
Carolyn, she called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline, and she planted tulips in the fall, and things were doing great, and all of a sudden she grows things so well, she has a crop of weeds underneath the tulips. Here, listen to her call.
Hi. This is Carolyn, and I've talked to you times about my gardenia plant a couple of years ago. It's still growing nicely. But my question for you today is, I planted over about 100 variety tulip bulbs down along my inner driveway, and right now there's all of these low-growing weeds. I've never seen so many. And my tulips are about almost 2 inches tall. What can I put around them without harming them to spray for the weeds without having to hand dig them all up? I appreciate your response. And I enjoy coming to your store. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. I'm glad she's got bulbs, too.
Yeah, right? Ignore the weeds, enjoy the tulips. You know? If you try to spray the weeds, you're going to have overspray, and you could kill the tulips, and you don't want to do that. Let's change our thinking a little bit. It's not a weed, it's a ground cover. And that the tulips are going to come up, they're going to flower, they're going to look great, and that nobody's going to really pay attention to the weeds. Yeah. We figured it's more than likely chickweed, right?
Chickweed, yeah.
Did you talk to Carolyn yet?
No, I haven't.
You didn't? Okay. Yeah. Carolyn, I hope you're listening. We'll give you a call.
Yeah, we'll call you.
The issue is spraying and overspray. There is only one product, and it is a glyphosate product. There is It's like a cleanup is glyphosate. We have what we prefer, and it's probably because it's inexpensive, is something called Killzall. It's a glyphosate product. Roundup is a glyphosate product. And yes, the lawyers have attacked glyphosate. Don't take a bath in it. Follow the instructions. Wear gloves when you spray it. But the issue is that it works from the foliage down. It doesn't poison the root, and it doesn't stay very long. There's also a new cleanup, which they're going to replace glyphosate eventually, and that they're using something that is high in iron. And what it does is you can use it in areas where it kills the weed by overdosing it with iron. So it doesn't hurt the soil. 4 days later, you can replant. I don't want you to use any of them because I don't want you to risk the effort that you put in putting in 100 tulips. Now, tulips come up, they bloom, they're beautiful, the petals fall off, they've got those little knobs on the end. It's like, oh, well, they were nice. But you wait a little bit, and you've got to let the foliage turn a little brown. And once that foliage turns brown, then you reach as far into the soil as you can, and you twist it, and you pull that stem out. But you have to wait for the foliage to turn brown. Don't do it before. If you do it before, or you just cut them down with a weed whacker, you do something, make sure your landscape isn't blowing it, or you husbands out there, don't go and just cut them off, because what happens, the energy goes back into the bulb as the brown leaves form. If you take it and cut it, you're going to have those bulbs divide, and next year, instead of beautiful tulips, you're going to have leaves, and they won't bloom. So make sure you follow our instructions. Now, after you do the basically fingers in the ground, twist, pull, and you don't want to pull the bulbs up. You're pulling just the stem out, and then go to town and spray. And you can spray with those products that we mentioned, the glyphosate products or the iron product. And again, it's cleanup. What we are pushing by us is because it's the best price is Killzall by High Yield. Again, Bonide has the one that is the high iron content, safe, supposedly organic. I don't know. It's so new, I can't really give you a good judgment on it. I know what it's supposed to do, but that doesn't mean it always works. But again, it's an alternative to glyphosate. Spray the weeds, kill the weeds, and then you can go ahead and plant annuals on top of them. So you're going to get rid of all the weeds. Weeds are going to die. A week later, you can go back, turn the soil over lightly, just the first inch or two, plant some bedding plants on there, keep them watered, and you can grow bedding plants on top. And then most of the weed seeds that want to germinate will be covered with bedding plants, and the weeds will try to grow. They'll sprout. They'll die because they don't get any sunlight. And now you've basically cured your weed problem. And then in the spring, when those annuals are done, and after our first frost, you're going to pull up all those annuals and just put a light layer of mulch on top. And the finer, the better. You don't, mini nuggets or pine bark mini nuggets would be ideal because they will suppress the weeds, but they also will allow the tulips to come through it without any issue. If you're putting a real stringy mulch on top that's going to layer and compact, you're going to have a problem. So again, sorry, Carolyn, it's either pull them yourself or just say they're a ground cover, and that just let the tulips grow up above them, because once they're in flower, nobody's going to look at what's underneath them. Yeah. And one thing in fall I always like to do, plant pansies. So plant winter pansies where your tulips are going to come up. So not only will you have the tulips come up, but you'll have the winter pansies flowering in spring while the tulips are blooming.
Mm-hmm. That'll rid all her problem.
Yeah. So let's look at it as a long-term solution.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. All right. So Again, don't spray anything until after you have pulled those tulips out of the ground. You're not pulling the bulbs, you're just pulling the foliage. If you've got questions, call the hotline.
Yes.
We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with the #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Hey, we're back. We'll go.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, we've got a lot of people having problems with ants, huh, Len?
Oh, we do.
So
we do. TJ just telling us about his ant problem.
Oh, I know. And we just got a call, and they wanted to know, because they didn't hear us clearly on what the products were. So we're going to replay a little bit of this and go back over it so you can hear what products to use, all right? And here's the call.
Hi, I'm listening to your show right now, but I did not get the name of the products for killing the little ants that you put around your house and what you use inside.
That's it.
That's it. That was
easy.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that didn't listen to last week's show, you can hear it on podcast. You can see it on YouTube. We were talking about the little ants that crawl around your house, and we all get them. I know that I have them. And you said you'd have them too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Aaron?
Aaron's got it.
Aaron's got it. TJ's got them.
Yeah, we all
and the product that we suggested is using taro ant traps. It's actually ant baits. And what it does is it attracts those scout ants. And again, the way that they work is those little ants that you see on your counter, and it's only one. That's a scout. And he's leaving a pheromone trail that the other ants will follow. And that they'll go to these ant baits and they'll feed on the ant baits and they'll go back and say, hey, look what I found. It's the greatest thing. Here, taste it. And so what happens is that the taro, okay, ant bait is picked up by that ant, and he transfers it to his buddies, and then his buddies say, it is great, and then they bring it back to the hive, and they kill the whole hive.
There you go.
Now, that's what we want. That's what we want. It's like a Trojan horse, So put the ant baits around in the kitchen, and, you don't want it where people see them. It's like, we don't have an ant problem. But
I'm not
what
eating
happens
here.
is like, because ants will kind of hide underneath stuff and things. Right. So it's relatively safe. It's borax, and it's a low toxicity for humans and other animals. You don't want your animals to be able to get to it. You don't want kids to be able to get to it. But the way that it works slowly within the hive and wipes it out. And you're going to have to put it in a couple of different places where, like, how does the ant, there's no food, well, maybe there is food. Like, you usually don't have food in your bedroom. Yeah. Well, unless you have, high school kids.
That's right.
Or young. Is there Aaron have food in his bedroom?
No, we don't play that.
You don't play it? Yeah. So you have control at the moment.
Absolutely.
At the moment, yeah.
It's imaginary. You know that, right?
Well, I keep telling her about the critters. If you bring the food in your room, you're going to have critters in your bed.
Right. And that's all of a sudden underneath the bed, there's some crawling between the baseboards and that you got to put it where you see them so that they can, again, taro ant bait, so they can get that bait and then bring it back to the rest of the nest, and that it infects them one to the other. And that's what works. Mm-hmm. Now, we also said that you want to put a barrier around your house, along the foundation, and Bug Blaster Plus above and below. I use that. And I use that for two reasons, because it has two active ingredients. One that will work as a contact right away, and there's another one that takes a little longer to work. It basically will stay there, and as the rain comes, it'll go along your foundation and protect your foundation and the soil. So it'll create a barrier between the foundation and the soil. And it also works against Julio's crickets.
Yes.
And that crickets can be so annoying. It is. You don't know where it is. Yeah. I used to love Jiminy Cricket. Oh, yeah. I don't like Jiminy Cricket anymore. No, I have to introduce them to Bug Blaster Plus. There are other things that are listed. And again, a perimeter treatment. Like, again, we're talking about deltamethrin. We talked about deltamethrin earlier when we were talking about termites and flying ants. That is another thrin that you would put around the foundation of your house. Do them both. Don't just do one, because one is for the ants that that already live in your home. The other is for the ants that want to live in your home. Okay, so you need to do that, and plus it will work on other insects. Like, where does silverfish come from? I don't know. But they come in your house. Stink bugs. I had a stink bug today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. They walk so slow, and then they fly, and all of a sudden they fly, and I have a ceiling fan.
Right.
Hits the ceiling fan, and then all of a sudden it, like, jumps on you and sticks to you.
Yeah. Does it smell?
Anyway. Well, only if you kill it.
Okay.
So if you kill it,
when it hits that fan,
it goes in the swirling toilet bowl. It goes for a ride. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Anyway, but that's another show. So again, you're going to use two products. You're going to use the taro ant bait, and then you're going to use Bug Blaster Plus above and below by High Yield. Ask for it at your local garden center. We'll be right back right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. 1-880, and we'll see you in the garden. You know, some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Organic Potting Soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is available at these local retailers.
Sickles Market, Little River, New Jersey. Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania.
Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929. You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, what's bugging you?
Oh, brother.
Moles and voles. They're diggers, and they tunnel to feed on roots and insects, but which feeds on which?
Yeah, right.
All right, moles. Moles. I said this at the meeting. Nobody understood what the heck I meant.
Yeah.
Okay?
They thought they were cute.
Jurassic Park,
Yeah,
right? Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park,
Okay?
yeah.
The two little kids, the first Jurassic Park, the original and best, up in the tree, right?
Yeah.
The two kids are there, and the girl freaks out because she sees a dinosaur that's, I don't know, what is the big dinosaur? I don't know. Aaron would know. But in any case, so it's up in the trees, and it's eating the tree.
Right.
And she freaks out, starts screaming, and then her little know-it-all brother says, "Oh, no, it's a Vegisaurus. It's a Vegisaurus." So they're like meat eaters and Vegisauruses, okay? Now, moles are the meat eaters. Now, mole, okay, with an M, not a V, mole are the kind of, and they're the thing that you see on the cartoons that always have the glasses because they can't see. Right, yeah. Moles are blind. They live most of the time underground. Related to a shrew. Taming of the Shrew.
Taming of the Shrew, yeah.
Anyway, that's another show. Moles, again, they eat insects. Kind of our friend.
Yeah.
But what happens is that they make these burrows underground, and it can kill the roots of your lawn. It can kill roots of other plants. So they're not necessarily your friend. Yeah. They're solitary individuals. They don't like mate for life or anything like that. They just, get together at the singles mole bar and, and then have kids. And then they're, hey, I'm out of here. Get it? Holy moly! That's exactly right. So they're under seclusion underground. I mean, it's an underground club so that they meet out. So there's only a few predators because they're underground. Again, they eating grubs and beetle larvae, worms. I don't necessarily like them eating worms, and that because it's so hard for them to dig around. they've got to eat their weight each day.
Ooh.
Lots of energy to dig under the ground.
Yes, sir.
And again, what people see are the molehills that pop up every once in the shallow, like people twist their ankles on the molehills and the tunnels, and that's what drives them crazy. The next one is a vole with a V, Vegosaurus. They eat vegetation, which is not a good thing because they're very destructive to orchards because they're eating roots and bark and seedlings. They eat bulbs. They eat all the roots like hosta. All of a sudden, my hosta's dying, or the people will say, it's like it's sunk into the ground. What happened? It sunk into the ground. And it's because they have a mold damage. And again, they do make tunnels, but they don't live under the ground. They look like mice. They look more like mice than they do anything else. Where again, voles are just, they should have named them something different.
Yeah, why did they do that?
Mice mole. That would make sense, but don't get them confused.
Yeah.
That would be incorrect. So again, the same way to get rid of them. What you want your neighbors to have them.
Yeah,
So what you do is you put a repellent down. Most of them have castor oil, and what it'll do is it will be an irritant, but it'll also coat their food source. It gives them stomach upset.
Oh, that's not bad.
No. It works on other things. And, Sandy, we had a meeting last night. Sandy pointed out you want to leave an exit for them to get out. So if you put a circular pattern like around your garden, like a perimeter, what happens there? You keep them in the garden and say, okay, fine, I'll stay here. I'm not going through that place. So you leave an opening so that you kind of shoo them in and you can play cowboy and get them to go. You can get to the point where you're just so fed up that there is poison that you can use. But again, if you reach that point, you have to be very careful with it because you're leaving poison out. It is poisonous, period. So you want to put it in the actual openings to the holes. But again, that's a last resort. That's a last resort. And they have these actually things, they look like gummy worms that the moles eat.
That.
So again, go to your local garden center, explain what you're seeing, and they can help you and give you some other suggestions like trapping and other things. But again, it's repellents first. Last resort is using poisons. Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Julio?
No, I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah. Be
slow,
careful.
Yeah, careful.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or hear us on the radio each weekend. Every Saturday morning, Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley, first at 8 a.m. on Talk 860 WWDB, and again at 9 a.m. on AM 800 WTMR. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard through the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 a.m. WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
See me in Julio down by the schoolyard.
Me and Julio.
Well.
All right, we're running out of time.
Yes, we are.
Listen, we'll see you here in the garden next week, but call. We call the hotline. Any questions you have, we're here for you. 609-685-1880. Get us on YouTube and subscribe.
That's right.
We'll see you next week in the garden.
See you in the garden.